Earlier, I spoke with Ernest Owens, author of the piece, Why Cancel Culture is Good for Democracy. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. So here's my take. I think cancel culture is bad for our democracy because the loudest in the room, unelected, unchecked, often put pressure on corporations for what is effectively the death penalty for anyone who doesn't support, I don't know, let's say transgender women in sports, or who believe that the vast majority of police officers are good and not racist. What am I getting wrong here?
Several things. For starters, a lot of the examples you're using are extremes. You're talking in hyperbole. People are not, there's no cancel mob. There isn't like this major death sentence. Most of the people that you reference are still rich. They're still rich, they're still powerful, they're still famous. And that's the point that's being missing in these conversations around cancel culture, is that in reality, take the word cancel out and it's about accountability. People are holding them to accountability. We're in a country that is a free market. If you don't, if you support capitalism, which I imagine you do, then you know that consumers have the right to choose what they want to support and what they don't. That's how a free market works. And also,
no doubt, it shouldn't be illegal. No one's suggesting it should be illegal. I'm just saying it's wrong. But let me just be clear. I mean, because you mentioned the term, right? The cancel culture term, and you said, quote, once those in power got a hand of the term cancel culture, they attempted to redefine it as a pejorative phrase, stripping away its craftiness and mischaracterizing its intention. You say it's more about accountability, as you just said, than cancellation. Yes. But isn't the result of that accountability often that they're demanding that someone is fired or potentially losing a job and thereby canceling them?
You mean practicing your First Amendment right?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're not allowed to.
You keep protesting?
But you're confusing what's your right to do and if it's the right thing to do.
No, but the reality is that you're not in a position to decide. If the person who's the afflicted, right, they're the group, right? So when we see people experience anti-Semitism, right, and they call for Kanye West to no longer work at Adidas, they felt like that was the proper recourse. If you, as a non-Jewish person, thinks that is not, that's not your place to decide. So I think that the powers in the decision-making process goes to those calling on the cancellation.
But that's like suggesting that I can't have an opinion about drug policy because I don't do drugs. I'm saying that the level of egregiousness of the conduct has to be so high. And that's why I used Scott Adams at the top of the show.
Correct.
Because I think it reaches a certain level. And it sounds to me like to you that it's all sort of the same. There's no ability to distinguish between a misdemeanor and a felony.
In my book, I argue that there actually is. So in my book, it's called Not All Cancellations Are the Same. And so there is actually variations between how people respond. I think that sometimes individuals in the media and those in other places like to create a broad stroke to act like everything is cancellation of job and resources and money. That's actually not true. There's actually been situations where people have asked for individuals to step down or to be deplatformed from certain things or to make an apology. And oftentimes when things escalate, it's because the individual in power or the person that's being called out is choosing to add insult to injury.
Well,
so for example, the Dilbert individual creator, he consistently does not get how
I agree. We're not going to debate about him because as you heard me say at the top. Right. But I want to read one more passage that you talk about. You say bigots are protected under the First Amendment to fuel disgusting rhetoric without state-sanctioned consequence.
Correct.
But who's to decide state-sanctioned consequence? I mean, if I think Ilhan Omar's rhetoric is disgusting about some topic, does that mean she should be sanctioned by the government for it?
The reference I was trying to make is that throughout history, as a Black person, my rights and my free speech was not always without state-sanctioned consequences.
And I could give you examples of situations where people protesting claimed to be peaceful, and actually they weren't, and they were violent, and they got away with it. Does that change the debate? I don't think so.
No. In my book, I discuss Antifa and how they're bad faith actors in these protests.
Yeah. Ernest Owens, you got us thinking, you got us talking. The article is very well written, and I look forward to reading your book. I thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.